Good evening, everybody. Happy Friday. The weekend is upon us, and welcome to Fools Rush In, where once again we are streaming live on Facebook, on YouTube, and on X. So wherever you are watching, whatever medium you are choosing to watch from, you can join in the live chat, throw those comments in, see your name on the screen, and help us or help lead where our conversation goes. For anyone who hasn't seen the synopsis, another defeat for Swindon Town midweek left the FRI WhatsApp chat at much of a debate throughout. There were borderline lovers' tiffs. There was threats to leave the group altogether. It was a very boys' own, One Direction, take that situation at times because we just could not agree. So we thought, what better way to settle this on Royal Rumble weekend than to air our dirty laundry with the biggest panel we have had yet in 2026. We have got some of the stalwarts. We have got some that have gone missing. You will not believe who is on tonight. It is unbelievable. As I say, the live chat is available for you to get involved however you're watching, like Sean has done with an early evening all. Despite all of the chaos and carnage that we have got to discuss, of course, we have an intro question. And as I mentioned, it is Royal Rumble weekend, but obviously we've done the obvious wrestling questions. However, this Royal Rumble is different because it's being hosted in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia. Yes, even the WWE sold out. So what I want to know is, if Fools were to sell out and do a live show somewhere completely random that has absolutely no relevance to the product we were doing it from, where do you think the Fools would sell out to? Do you think we would go to just Spain and that would do a Fools trip to Spain? Do you think we'd go as far as Asia, maybe Australia? Where would Fools sell out and do a random live show from that has absolutely nothing to do with the product that we are putting out there? I'm intrigued to see where the boys want to go. I know that Ben's been talking to me for the best part of 2 weeks now about a Fools European adventure. That would be fun. I will have to renew the passport. But let's see, or let's say hello, I should say, sorry, to tonight's panel. And the first man I want to invite on has to have some walk-on music, as it were. Good evening, Sir Nicholas. Happy birthday!
Whoa, thank you. Woohoo!
How are you, mate? You okay?
Yeah, really good. Yeah, really good for an old one, so doing well.
Glad to hear. And I do know via the WhatsApp chat, your good lady wife bought you a casket of wine as one of your birthday presents. You were already 3 bottles deep, sir. Good lads.
Well, I have knocked back a nice little tifter tonight, so yeah, all is good. All is good.
Good. And as you advertised on X, it was a chippy tea as well. You are living life.
Yeah.
And I was asking just off camera, what do you buy a man of your advancing years, should we say, that has everything that his heart could desire? What do you buy a man like that for his birthday?
It's a very difficult question, and actually, what I was after, and I don't know. Let me just show you part of the reason for asking for something.
This is great for those listening back on Spotify.
Yeah,
Nick has walked away from his seat.
It will be worth it. This is what I have in my room, right? A leather rhino, okay?
Because everyone wants to have a rhino in their room.
Of course. And what I said, what I wanted was a leather hippopotamus. But can we find one? Can we find one at a reasonable price? No. So it's either rubbish or it's over £1,000, which is stupid.
Right.
So that's what we were looking for, but didn't get it.
Someone watching Fools will know someone that can get you a leather rhino at less than £1,000.
Excellent.
Let's
go
you
for
can
it.
help Nick find his leather hippo. This is what the boy wants for his birthday.
Yeah, that will do well.
Mate, obviously we've got a lot of Swindon Town to discuss tonight.
We have.
But just very briefly, what was your feelings at full time on Tuesday?
I suppose what we've had for the last 3 games, just massive disappointment. it's just giving away bad goals. And I don't blame Ripley. I know he got some stick. I think the first goal we lost a header, and who was it? Ball didn't clear it. It seemed to go through his legs, give Ripley no chance. I know we'll come into detail. The second goal, fair play to the guy, he took it well, but is it Jatta?
Yeah.
Why give him so much space? He's
He's
not exactly a shrinking violet, is he? Massive. What can you say? We give crap goals away. You're going to get beat. But performance overall wasn't bad. We knew what they were like. They're a decent side. But anyway, I've got some bit of analysis with a bit of positivity for the next 2 months. So all is going to be good. It's Swindon Town FC.
Excellent. And thank you to everyone, by the way, who pointed out that the Lone Strangers mentioned on their episode that Sky kept panning back to me. I got sent plenty of pictures. There were a few videos as well, generally of me looking miserable. There was one I saw of me celebrating the goal, which was nice. But I have pointed out to them the reason it wasn't that they were panning back to everyone's favourite podcaster of Swindon Town. It was just the camera couldn't miss me because I was fucking massive in purple, surrounded by skinny people wearing black. So of course they were going to find me.
Just before you move on, Fifey, just to say thanks to everyone that sent messages for a very happy birthday. Really appreciate it. Thanks, folks.
No, absolutely. Again, for someone who's going to point out plenty of negatives, in a change to usual programming, I thought Ripley was generally okay, and he pulled off one absolutely worldy save that he had
amazing.
No right to pull off.
Yeah,
but we'll come on to that later because we have, like I say, an all-star panel of fools waiting to have their. Evening, Woody.
Happy birthday, Nick. How are we?
I'm guessing that was you. Did you download a happy birthday into the tunes song?
I did. I live produced a happy birthday song.
I do like. See, this is the part of you having editor rights that I enjoy. You just doing shit that I don't know about.
Well, to be fair, I thought that surely nobody's got copyright on happy birthday. I thought it's a bit like Disney, isn't it? After like 100 years or something of Disney being allowed, you're allowed to use their characters. So I took that full advantage and found happy birthday free download. Spotify, by the way.
Nice headgear, by the way, Woody.
I know. I bought it for Arlo yesterday because me and Arlo made a very, very last minute decision to go to. It's actually annoying me now. Me and Arlo made a very, very last minute decision because I had an email at lunchtime yesterday to go to the darts, and Arlo hadn't been before. So
nice.
Yeah, took him there. He saw his favourite boy Aspinall, so he was happy, and many others, in Van Gerwen, Doby, Wade, all sorts. So I was quite surprised, really, that that what we were able to see. I would have put it out wider, but literally, as I was trying to discuss with the other half whether we should go or not, I could just see the tickets disappearing on the screen. So I was like, right, I need to get 2 for me and Arlo. But yeah, no, it was, although I'm really tired today as a result of it, because I did get back quite late. But yeah.
You've had a busy old week as well. You were obviously at your work party last Friday. You were so busy at work you couldn't possibly have come to Notts County on Tuesday, and then, like you say, a last-minute trip to the darts.
Yes,
so plenty going on.
I feel like I need a pat on the back for deciding against going on Tuesday, to be fair, because as you guys know, I was very, very tempted. The stuff I needed to do at work, I was done by lunchtime. And I was back in Swindon at lunchtime, and I must have been constantly exchanging messages with Wazza about, and he's there going, I've got one more space in my car, Woody. I've got one more space. And I'm like, oh no, I can't.
Well, if it's any, aside from the actual performance and result, mate, if is there any consolation, it was a long ass journey for them coming up because they didn't even get dinner before the game. They were so much later than they expected. And I understand they didn't get in till gone 1 a.m. So it was probably a good idea.
Yeah, well, I'm going to have that at Harrogate on Tuesday. So That's going to be an absolute killer on Tuesday, I think. But
just briefly going back to Nick to start with, because I forgot to ask tonight's intro question.
oh yeah,
If the Fools were to sell out and do a live show from somewhere that has absolutely nothing to do with our product, where are we selling out to, Nick?
A relatively easy journey. I would go Malta. It's a fantastic island. Really enjoyed a holiday there. But if we want to do it big time, it'd have to be New Zealand. Because again, I went there for my 60th birthday. We had a month over there, and it's just fantastic place. Really good. And it was great because I was still working then, and we left in January, and I said, "Bye, folks. I'll see you in March." And what a joy it was to say that at work.
Oh, Fools Rush Malta sounds nice, but Fools Rush New Zealand sounds epic. Woody, if we're selling out, where are we selling out to? When you're off mute, of course.
oh, that ruined it. Moscow. That's where we're going.
We're not allowed in Russia, you know this.
Because everybody will attend something that they're not allowed to listen to. So we would be like if TikTok opened a headquarters in America. It would be amazing. Everybody would just vacuum towards it. Yeah, so I'd say we need to go to Moscow. We'd sell out. I'm telling you, everybody would want to know about what we do and why we're banned in Russia.
Superb. Oh, I want to know why we're banned in Russia, to be honest. But there we go. We've got a real, by the way, aside from a big panel tonight, we've got a real battle of the beards going on tonight. We've got 3 very different beards already on screen. Let's get another fantastic beard to cheer you all up this Friday evening. Good evening, Craig.
Yeah, evening, lads. How are we all doing tonight?
Very well, mate. Thank you. Yourself?
Yeah, not too bad. I think I agree with Woody in answer to the question. I think we must go to Russia. So, hey,
Nice.
Are you
Nice.
Russian that answer?
that's a Soccer AM joke for the younger listeners. That is. But yeah, I don't know really.
Sorry. For the younger listeners, Soccer AM is a pop culture show from the 90s and 2000s that used to do mixed comedy, music, and football for the entertainment of millions on a Saturday morning.
And what a show it was when it was Tim and Helen. That was when it was at its peak. To be fair, but yeah, I've been thinking about this since you mentioned it, really. But I guess we'd sell out to New York. Yeah, if I probably wouldn't be allowed over there though, because if they check my phone and everything, I probably would. They probably wouldn't. They probably wouldn't like me over there. So, but yeah, I'd love to go to New York. And yeah, it's
New York.
I mean, I know they've got MLS over there, and New York have got a couple of MLS teams. I think. I still think that football's a very distant 5th or 6th on their sporting priorities. So yeah, New York. I'd love to go there. Beautiful city.
American soccer, they do like their sort of initial things, as you say, MLS. So what better to really promote MLS than FRI?
Yeah,
makes perfect sense. Perfect sense. Right.
If we go with LSP, we can take the whole alphabet over, couldn't we?
Yes.
Yeah. Don't forget the OSC as well. It's just all going. The entirety of Swindon heading over to New York to promote STFC. It sounds amazing. Elliot just says, I'd love to go to League One. Keep dreaming. We do have 2 more panelists waiting to go. And as I said, you will not believe it. We already have some of the highest appearance makers for FRI on the screen. Now it's time for some of the forgotten men, starting with the man who stood you all up. You boo him and you hiss him like a pantomime villain when he comes on the screen. Remember, he promised you he'd be here Monday and he stood you up. Evening, Ben.
Oh, me? Oh, yeah. Woody, 10-year-old, right here.
It's past 9 p.m. watch shed, mate. So
yeah, it's post watershed. It's my fault. He's on.
Yeah.
All right, guys, what are you doing? Right? Yeah, you keep the camera. All right.
Mike says, "Who's that with Fred?" How you doing, boys? You okay?
Yeah, right today, haven't we?
Yeah.
Yeah, a good day today. It's been all right. No complaints, really.
That's great content, Ben. Thank you.
Yeah, I know.
Giving you a bit of behind-the-scenes action, Fred admitted that as he gets a little bit older, he wants to be like his absolute favourite fool. No, that's not Ben. That is me. He doesn't want to be told that he has to wear a jacket to the football. So I've given him some advice and told him that if his mum doesn't agree, then she's to call me and I'll set her straight. But if anyone has any other advice for Freddie as to how he can just wear a Swindon shirt to the football and not be bogged down by you must wear a jacket to protect you from possible chest infections, then please do fire it in the chat for him. Ben, Freddie, the intro question. If the Fools are to sell out, where are we going to sell out and do a random show from?
Freddie, where would you go?
Morocco.
Just go Morocco.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Fools Rush Morocco.
Fools Rush Morocco. Knowing Fools, it would probably end up the Qassam or North Korea. Ideally, the Caribbean would be nice, wouldn't it? If we're going to properly sell out.
Fools Rush the Caribbean. Just island hopping for every episode.
Just every episode, different island. That'd be good. But yeah, we'd probably
Has
end
anyone
up.
been to the Caribbean before, by the way? I mean, Caribbean's on my bucket list, but has anyone ever ventured out there?
No.
No? Okay. Maybe it's an option then.
Rich on it. Yeah, probably has.
Fools Rush Butlins is very much on the extra content cards. It's something that we've been talking about for a while. But trying to arrange 15 guys' social calendars, even I don't have the power to get them all passes at the same time, despite my good percentage of getting the passes when needed. We do have one more, and as Ben has already spoiled, yes, if Ben has returned, so has the man who talks up a big game and then ditches you when the content is centered around him. Evening, Rich.
Not sure I agree with this shit, but either way. I mean, sorry, agree with this crap. I mean, agree with this rubbish. I mean, agree with this poo. I mean, sorry. Either way. How are we doing, lads? All right?
Looks like Sean's been to the Caribbean by the looks of it, by the way.
Ben, you were right. I have been to the Caribbean, and I have been to many
of course you have.
What? It was for my mum's 60th. Like, wait, what year are we in now? 2026.
I mean, you had to get rich.
7 years ago. 7 years ago. I can't believe it's 7 years ago that I went there. But yeah.
Are you allowed to be outing your mum's age on the internet?
I beg your pardon.
Are you allowed to be outing your mum's age on the internet?
Oh, half the people can't count anyway, so it's all good.
Rich is on one tonight as well.
He's just slated from those window patterns.
He's been so many.
Well,
On the rules.
all my fans have been DMing me and saying, when are you coming back on Falls? And I've been like, right, I've been busy, all right.
Got a power base.
Rich, just level with me. Your DMs have been remarkably quiet, haven't they?
Because this chat's been going off its absolute nuts. So it really hasn't been, but yes, all good. Nah.
So, Rich, if the Fools were to sell out, where are we doing a random live show from?
Well, do you know what? Before Ben said Caribbean, I said I was going to say Barbados, but
nice.
Now that he said Caribbean, I don't know. This has no relevance whatsoever, and I guess it goes with your question. To be fair, I'm going to say New Orleans.
Okay. Obviously, you want to go back to New Orleans.
Of course, I want to go back to New Orleans.
I'm surprised no one said like Dubai or anything like that. No one fancy just Fools Rocky up in Dubai is a bit.
No, we'll leave that to the small organisations like the WWE and World Boxing Federation.
Yeah,
they can.
People with money.
Tom Broadbent to do that.
Who is that?
Jesus Christ, lads! What is
that? That wasn't his job. They can if they want. That was.
Rich, just very briefly before we go on to the main subject.
That wasn't all those strangers.
Shut up. Rich, who's going to win the Royal Rumble tomorrow?
Your guess is as good as mine, mate. I tell you what, it's probably the most open Royal Rumble I think I've ever seen.
I like that they're finding new ways to announce things, like Brock Lesnar randomly calling Pat McAfee on his podcast to announce that he's doing it.
I know, that was quite funny. I think it's going to be either Bron Breakker or Roman Reigns.
Okay.
In the men's,
right.
Women's, I don't know. I think it might be. Raquel Rodriguez.
Okay. Nice. Okay, let's get on to the subject, because with so many of you and so many questions, obviously, Woody, you can stop live producing now. With so many questions to answer and so many of you to answer them, this is going to be a very feisty, passionate, and potentially very long episode. So let's get straight into it. Defeat midweek. Performance was okay in patches, not great in others. There were some good moments. There were some not so good moments. I'm going to start with the obvious question. And because I know how passionately you feel about this, Woody, I'm going to come straight to you. Notts County's first goal. Very clearly, Xhaka kicks it in from an offside position, no?
Well, when I've watched it back on the replay, no.
No.
Annoyingly, which I guess is why there wasn't too many appeals to it. But I mean, to be fair, he's probably proven there why he is one of the best forwards in the league. The timing on his run is perfect. So he's got he's read the flick on, and I don't know. It might have been going in anyway. It's one of those difficult ones that it could be one that bounces away from the line. So I'm kind of, if I'm his coach, I'm looking for him to put that in regardless, to make sure it hits the back of the net, especially because we were 1-0 up at the time, weren't we? Yeah. So it's I mean, I was adamant when I first saw it. I went,
you
offside.
were very adamant.
Yeah, I was like, he's got to be offside. But then when you watch it back, it's arguably a very good call / guess from the linesman, isn't it?
Mike asks, has Ben and Freddie rehearsed reenacting the last-minute save for Tabor's chance?
At the time, if we did it on the whistle, if Freddie wasn't here, I would have got Haley on it, because 4-0, wicked. I was up in my seat celebrating when I saw the ball go to Tabor. I was up. Then I just saw it on top of the net, and I couldn't work out, in the world of science and physics, how that ball managed to not go in.
Well,
I couldn't work, and I watched the replay, and I still couldn't work it out. It's one of them.
To you. The goalkeeper that Notts fans have been complaining about all season has pulled off an unbelievable save.
Oh, there's Belsham. It's their new one. It's the one they just signed.
Okay.
Pulled off.
Fair enough.
But
it plays impressively.
It was frustrating. But yeah, good work from Mo on the wing. But it was disappointing. Freddie, because you get one question. What do you think? You got to go bed in a minute.
I actually don't know.
Is that your?
Okay, Freddie, did you watch the game on Tuesday night?
No.
Did you? We watched a little bit. Did you? You've seen the highlights. What do you think of the defeat? Where do you think that leaves us?
Connor Ripley's the worst player on that pitch. I'm telling you. It was so bad.
Freddie does not like Connor Ripley at all.
And Will Wright was the best player on the pitch.
Oh my God, Freddie. Oh no. I mean, your bloodline have come up with some of the worst shouts in footballing history, and that could quite possibly be up there. As someone who has slated Ripley times, he had an all right performance, and there were and Will Wright. I'm going to say something positive and negative about Will Wright here. I really liked tactically, because me and Wazza were talking about this. Will Wright seemed to have this random free role for a centre-back where he could just go anywhere. And I actually really liked it because he kept popping up all over the pitch doing stuff. Admittedly, he's not great at doing any of it, but I like the fact that he did keep popping up all over the pitch, getting involved. I mean, I'd rather he got involved and wasn't great doing it than other players we're going to talk about tonight who just didn't get involved. and offered absolutely nothing. But that's to come. But on the subject, as you've raised it, Freddie, let me bring Rich in because, like myself, you have criticised Ripley at times. But let's try and start at least on a positive footing. The save that we're discussing from the first half was a quality save.
He made a great save against Bromley. So what? We still slated him after that, didn't we?
Right.
I genuinely don't see what the relevance is. He made one good save, but he did the same against Bromley. Don't get me wrong. It was a fantastic save against Bromley as well. I thought that was probably better than the one that he made on Tuesday night. But and I'm not knocking it. It was a great save. But to say he was a key instrumental in keeping us in the game, well, he quite frankly lost us the game against Bromley, which, to be honest with you, is probably more important than the game against Notts County. And it's quite annoying now because that's 2 back-to-back games, and I felt as if he probably could have. Well, he should have saved the second one against Notts County. I mean, I get keepers getting beat at their near post, but that was ridiculous. I mean, he purposely stepped away from his post for him to literally slot the ball in. I mean, at least if the keeper's tied to their near post, or at least within arm's length of their post, and then you get beat, fair enough. But he was more than an arm's length away. So unfortunately for me, that was just dreadful goalkeeping. In terms of the first goal, I mean, when I first saw it, I thought he probably could have done better. Again, it was a bit of a mishmash in the box, to be fair. And then again, I didn't really look into it as much as Woody did, but apparently Jatta was offside, so fair enough. I was struggling with my stream to keep that one going as well, so I didn't really watch the replay that much. I saw it as soon as I saw they equalised. I was like, oh, for God's sake! But no, for me, say having one incredible save in a game.
Let's not forget, Jason, that Rich can't read and talk yet, despite doing this for 5 years. So he's just going to take in your comment so that he can react to it.
No, he's right. It is important to win, and we should be winning, and we're not winning. That's the problem, Jason. That's the problem. Every game we want to be winning, and we're not. So it's a bit annoying. I'm making one really good save per game does not make you a decent keeper or a good keeper, you know, and especially the efforts that he should have saved and he didn't save them. That's what I that's what I question him on. So yeah, it's a bit of a shame, but yeah, no, I made my bed. Well, he made his bed, I feel, after the Bromley game personally. No, I would not have Jack Bycroft back either, to be honest with you. No, and I'm genuinely not. I am not having. Yeah, genuinely.
This is really good for people who listen on Spotify when you're having these pauses. Everything.
Craig,
I reckon it's a dramatic pause that you're doing, obviously, while you sort of gee yourself up for something epic.
Yeah, I know, right? No, but it's I feel as if Ripley made his bed after the Bromley game. I just thought that error that he made for the second goal. I know Holloway came out and he sort of defended him and stuff like that. I'm sorry, there's absolutely no defending that at all whatsoever. He got beaten way too easily there, and I felt as if that he got beaten way too easily for the second goal on Tuesday night as well. So I just feel as if it's been a catalogue of errors from his part over the past few weeks. So yeah.
I get the feeling, and I'm going to jump in here because I know Rich is reading the latest comments we popped up on the screen. But if Rich was to try and talk while reading, he would turn into the character from Vickery Dibley and just be like, and then he would start talking again as if he's resetting himself.
So hang on. I genuinely want to know what a top goalkeeper is in League Two, or just a top goalkeeper in general, because I'm telling you now, if anybody in the comments says that he is a good shot stopper, I'm switching this off right now, because genuinely that is literally their job. And I'm sure Woody would back me up on that as well.
He's a good shot stopper. I just want to see if you live up to your promise.
Okay, yeah. So far this hasn't gone to plan. I wanted to focus on some positives early doors, knowing what was coming negatively. But so far it hasn't gone to plan. Let's try this again by going to one of our more positive members, Craig. Let's talk about the opening goal. What a hit it was from Clark. Welcome back to the first team, young man.
Sorry, yeah, but I just want to go back to Ripley, if I may. I personally think that the criticism is a bit harsh, and I think he's been let down a lot by his own defence. Like in that goal against Bromley as well, and also in that second goal against Notts County. You saw what Notts County did. They tore through our defence and our back line like it was easy, and left him in a one-on-one situation. Ball and Nichols, they might as well have not been there, because with the ease that Notts County cut through on that left-hand side that led to our second goal. And again, Ball was pretty much at fault for the first one. So I think the defence has got a lot to answer for, as well as Ripley. Don't get me wrong, he is at fault. And also he made a good save. It was a good save, but it wasn't a Gordon Banks type save. Come on, was it? You know what I mean? It was a good save, and that kept us in the game. But I think also the defence has got to take a share of the blame for these defeats. I don't think Ripley should be scapegoated for for all these defeats. But yeah. Sorry, Fife. What was the initial question again? I went on.
I was just going to say, Craig, I still think his save against Bromley was better than the one that he made on Tuesday night. But that's all I'm going to say now.
Yeah. Okay. Well, fair enough. Clark's goal, wasn't it? It was a fantastic goal. You watch it again in slow motion. You look at the technique that he uses. I mean, that was Cantona-esque. That was the way he struck that. And what a goal!
I thought I could exaggerate.
Well, no, it was though. Well, if somebody had scored a goal like that in the Premiership, we'd be going on about it. It would be going viral and all sorts. So, but because it's in League Two, most people don't give a shit, do they? But no, it's just as good a goal as what you see in the top level. So why not, call it that? And also, obviously, Oldacre, brilliant dummy that he made in order to fool the Notts County defence. So hats off to him as well. But it was a quality goal.
You got to remember as well, Craig. You got to remember Oldacre's initial pass to the player at Notts County's right hand actually started the move as well.
Yes,
because he passed it, didn't he? And it just cannoned off that goal.
Yeah, it did. Fair enough, Mike. That's about as far as the comparisons to Cantona will go as far as Clark was concerned. Because after that, I don't really think he had much of an impact on the game other than the goal, to be honest. But yeah, it was a distance. I don't think the performance was better than what we had against Bromley. I think we had a good first 5 minutes where it looked as if, we might be turning things around. We might have learned our lessons from the Bromley game. And then after that, we just Notts County just looked the better team again, just like Bromley looked like the better team and Salford before that. But it was, we had a good first 5 minutes and a good 5 minutes towards the end when we nearly scored. But I think everything else in the middle, it was quite clear that, Notts County were the better team. And, like I was saying on Tuesday, I said we can beat them. We are the better team, but clearly that's not the case. They've got some very good players, as I think Woody did say on Tuesday. And Jota, fantastic. The lad they got on loan from Tottenham, is it Grant? Is that who they got on loan from Tottenham? He was
so,
really good. Yeah, he was really good, and he played his part in the second goal before that touch that Jota did and flicked it on to Dennis. But yeah, they were the better team in the end. I know people could turn around and say, oh, well, we'd have drawn if Tabor had scored at the end, but Notts County should have scored about 3 or 4 as well. So you can't have it both ways and say, oh yeah, we'd have drawn if it wasn't for Tabor, but they had 3 or 4 chances as well, and they should have put the game to bed. So again, another way. I mean, I'm sure we'll talk about the Tabor miss anyway soon, but let's not put it all on him either for missing that opportunity. You know, we had other opportunities, obviously not as close, but we didn't create as many clear-cut chances as what Notts County did. So and they should have scored a few more. So I think they deserved the win. They were better than us on the day. Simple as that.
Okay, so it's still not quite been as positive as I'd like, lads. I'll be honest. You're really letting me down here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to jump in and I'm going to give the positive side of my review from Notts County, and then we can go from there. First and foremost, what I would like to say, and I appreciate that I go to fewer games than most, so it's not necessarily difficult for me to say this. But particularly in that first half, there were times where that is the best atmosphere I've been in around a group of Swindon fans in ages. Not through the whole half, I'll grant you, because I can see you pulling faces, Rich. But there were times where all the fans were together, and it was almost like some of the older days. It was great fun in the first half. Second half, not so much for obvious reasons, but first half it was fun. There was I enjoyed the sarcastic cheating. Particularly, and again, I didn't watch it back on TV. I hope it came through clearly. That there was a moment where I think it was Ollie Clark went down and got a free kick, and the Notts fans started chanting that he was a cheating bastard. He knows what he is. So shortly after, Swindon went 1-0 up, and the Swindon fans chanted back at them, "Cheating bastards, we know what we are." It was quite. I enjoyed it. It was good banter. Fair play to Notts fans as well. I mean, I thought as a home supporter, they were fairly quiet, and that's no disrespect. That's just the way football is generally these days. But there were, some of the banter between the fans was decent. I enjoyed that. I will commend, football is about moments. And while I acknowledge and accept what Rich was saying earlier, I think it should be commended for the save that Ripley made. He had no right to make it. So fair play to him for that particular moment. I would also, again, I talked about tactically, I liked what they were doing with Will Wright. I thought it did make sense. He could be better at it if I'm being overly critical. But I did like that it was something a bit different. The Clark goal was a fantastic goal, and it just set the mood for the rest of the game. And I also, although I felt he could have dealt better with Jones at times, I thought Joel McGregor had quite a good game as well. And he is really starting to show the form of yesteryear, shall we say, as he's getting more regular game time. I know he was in at the start of the season, fits and starts. People are like, oh, he's not the same player he was. This injury's really done him in. But now he's playing regularly again. He's one that fans are talking about again, and I rate that. What other positives can I throw out there? Mo, I hadn't noticed it before. He loves a step over. He loves a step over, and he's quite good at a step over. I'm yet to really be convinced he's good at much else, but he's good at a step over. So that is something to carry on watching. And he's come under some criticism of late, so I just want to give a moment for Kilkenny. Our midfield generally was lacking. And once again, it was lacking. And it comes to the point that me and Woody were talking about the other day. We have some good interceptors, but no tacklers. And that will come in again when we discuss Clark's performance, because the Lord and Saviour was going to change everything about our midfield, and it was still completely ineffective. But I felt sorry for Kilkenny at times on Tuesday, because he's clearly very good, but he can't do it all on his own. And he really needs somebody to step up and help him. because none of the other midfielders are doing that. That's my positives for the time being. I'm sure there were others, and I'll remember them and I'll come back to them. But those are my positives for the moment, that we can just take a moment to digest. Nick, so Swindon started reasonably well on Tuesday. Then Notts County got kind of worked us out a little bit. They got their foothold in the game. Why do you think it kind of panned out the way it did? Because there's been different theories to this, and one that's been annoying me as such is this notion, but basically because of what's happened before, I'm annoyed by the notion that MK Dons were just better than us. Salford were just better than us. Bromley were just better than us. And now Notts County are just better than us. I don't believe that this Swindon team is fallen off that much, that all of these teams are just simply too good for us.
No, they're not. It's fine margins, isn't it? I think all the teams you just mentioned, they're all muchness, and they will have, decent decent displays, and not so decent. And at the moment, we were just in a bad run. I mean, we played informed teams. Bromley and Salford were like the best performing teams over the previous few weeks. Notts County was always going to be a hard one. I thought if we'd have got away with a draw, that would have been a good result. And unfortunately didn't. And sometimes it's just the way it goes. It's disappointing we can't take points off of the teams around us. That's obviously a problem. But I mean, we've talked about it a lot. And I know the forwards were getting a bit of slating, especially Drynan in particular. But if the midfield isn't creating anything, there's a problem. And we seem to go back in that. I mean, I'd have to look at it in detail. But we seem to get in the habit of, when we've got a chance to push forward at pace, we don't do it, and it goes back to Ripley, and we start again. And the way we attack teams is very slow, and that gives them time to regroup defensively. So I think that's part of the problem, and that comes from not having somebody driving in that midfield, like you said. And that's, to me, the biggest issue.
Just on that point specifically, I agree about the midfield, and again, we'll come on to the midfield as a whole, as a separate entity. What I would say is, when you've got a defence that's inviting pressure and an attack that can't keep hold of the ball, the midfield isn't going to be able to create for them. But that driving force you're looking for, and I'm not going to do a Holloway and put this all on one player, but we're just imbalanced because they naturally, because of what they've been doing all season, they keep going out to the left-hand side, but we don't have a left-footed player to cross the ball in. So every time it goes to a Snowden or it goes to Joel, for example, they naturally come back in on their right foot, and then they're playing it backwards because the attackers have gone in waiting for that cross that isn't going to come.
Yeah, I mean, all season, apart from Monroe, how often do we get a player down the wing to the goal line and pull a ball back, where then forwards can come onto it? We don't.
Joel's quite good at it.
He is, but it's still not. We don't do it enough. Most of our crosses are fairly deep, and then that gives the defence an opportunity to. They're at the advantage to clear it. Whereas if you can get down to the byline and pull it back, you've got forwards coming onto it, and I haven't seen that much. Probably, obviously, we're missing Monroe, but we can't keep on about that. He's gone. We got to move on from that.
No, completely agree. Okay, let's work our way. And in recent weeks, we've been going back to front. So let's start with the attack, Woody. Everyone's going to have their opinions on this, so I'm gonna start by being fairly controversial, I suppose. I thought Holman was okay. He's a willing runner. I didn't see what others saw in his previous cameos, unfortunately. I don't necessarily think that's wholly his fault, but I thought he was okay. I I did raise a question in our group chat. How much credit does Drinan have in the bank? I can only speak for myself, and I will not at all question his contribution to this season. He's obviously having a fantastic goal-scoring season, but in this bad run of form, when you're looking for your big players to step up, his performances, as I've described previously, have been lacking. I actually used the word abysmal in the group chat for his performance on Tuesday. And all jokes aside, I would genuinely love to see his heat map, because he's showing what the thing that worries me most isn't the fact that he was left on, because he does have the ability to score goals. What worries me the most is he's no longer running. He's no longer pressing. He can't hold up the ball. He doesn't win anything in the air, and offered absolutely zero to any of his teammates on Tuesday. Again, only my opinion. If it wasn't for the fact he'd scored the goals he'd had this season, he would have been hooked time before. And the fact that Palmer had covered more distance than him in 2 minutes tells you everything you need to know about his performance. But again, maybe it's just me. But I do believe questions do need asking of Drinan at this point.
I would partly disagree.
That's fine. Got no issue with that.
I can understand that, everybody kind of maps Drinan as either this purple patch goal scorer, or they map him as this player that chases everything down, that runs. And yes, is that part of his game that we're probably not seeing of late? Yeah, I'd probably say yeah. But equally, I don't think we're getting anywhere near that final third as much as we were in the lead up to this run. I think Nick made a very good point actually, about the deep, that we're doing a lot from deep now. A lot of stuff's coming from deep, which with players like Drinan, he is typically a little bit of a hunter. I get that, but sometimes the problem is when you've got a hunter, they're actually quite easy to suss out and mark out the game. But the thing is I think I'm trying to find it, and I get your point, what you're saying, but he's not been completely ineffective, because I'm pretty sure if you look at the last 5 league games, definitely, he's had 4 goal contributions. So for me, I'd argue that he just looks like he's not doing much, which is similar to what we might say about what we were saying. Let's be honest, this is what we were saying about Tom Nichols 2 months ago. We were saying he looks like a player that's not doing much, but actually he does a lot of the dirty work off the ball.
No, we're still saying that now.
Well, yeah, I mean, I wish Joe was on, because he'd say different. But but yeah, it's like, so Drinan scored 1 against Cheltenham, scored 1 against Gillingham, scored 1 against Salford, assisted 1 against Bromley, and Notts County, in fact, was the only game he was ineffective. But I'd also argue, I thought Notts County, compared to the Bromley and compared to the Salford, apart from that opening 10 minutes, was the weakest game that we had in terms of that final third. We didn't break forward enough, and the one time we did is obviously the table miss, which we'll talk about later. But also, Drinan's not a player that you pump 20 yards in front of him for him to run onto. He's a player that will have the ball and he'll run at them. But if the whole team's in bad form, there's a good chance that your best player is going to be in bad form. So yes, whilst I agree, we're probably not seeing the types of what we liked from him definitely last season, didn't we? Before he got injured, all those areas, but he wasn't scoring last season. But now,
even then, and while I agree, if you think back even just a month ago, what we liked about Drinan, other than his goals, was he still had all those things. He was still a willing runner. He was still offering for the team. He was still doing the dirty work. He isn't doing that now. So if Swindon aren't as in good form as they were, you need players like Drinan to step up and do what they do best.
This is where I question what we're looking for in a League Two striker, Fifey, because if you go, like I say, for me this year, Drinan is known for scoring goals. Yes,
that's not all he's offered.
But he has in the last 5 games. And interestingly, if you look at the 5 games before our bad run, he only had 3 goal contributions. So actually, what he's doing,
but we're Swindon in better form.
Yeah, but they were. But that's what I mean. He was more effective when we were. He was less effective effective.
But he was giving more to the team in an
Is-
all-round
but are we-
performance. He wasn't
but are we
focusing just
saying-
on his goals.
Are we saying that because Swindon were playing well and we probably didn't notice that Drynham wasn't doing these things? He might have always not been doing
Or
these
were
things.
we playing well because he was doing these things?
Well, that's that's what I mean. But for me, I always look at, like, yes, I understand that we're not seeing that, and I get that. I don't think we're seeing the pressing Drynham that we had. But for me, I can't sit there and criticise a guy who's had 4 goal contributions in 5
and I
games.
agree. I won't criticise his goal contributions. I'm just concerned about what's lacking in his performance. Let me put it another way. And this is the only fair way I can describe this, okay? If Ollie Palmer was doing what Drinan was doing, he would be getting caned. But because Drinan scored goals in 2025, he's not getting caned.
But what is Palmer doing?
Well, on Tuesday, a damn sight more than Drinan.
Well,
Palmer was actually working the channels. Palmer was controlling the ball. Palmer was winning.
I'm not sure. I think that's a balanced narrative for your argument, but I think Palmer's best game was against Bromley for me.
You can't argue that Drinan actually looked more likely when Palmer came on as well. Palmer helped Drinan look better. As much as people don't like Palmer, Palmer seems to be making Drinan look better. Because I saw the comment earlier, which was a decent one. Drinan needs to be central. Drinan was our central striker on Tuesday, but did nothing, absolutely nothing. And that's why Holman didn't do anything either. Like the game before, Holman missed the chances. I get that, and Drinan probably would have scored them if they'd fallen to him. But Holman didn't get the chances Tuesday because Drinan didn't do anything.
Glatz and Drinan earlier this season worked well.
Yeah, I get that.
But is that, and I'm not saying this is an excuse for Tuesday, but when we say Drinan and Glatz did well, for example, and that's a very good point. Obviously, I love Glatz, but those two are too hard. On their day, they're 2 workhorses, so they're sharing the workload. When you've got Palmer, in my opinion, I actually really liked him in Bromley. I thought that was one of his best performances of the season against Bromley, until we started to just not bother playing football in the second half. When you've got Palmer and Drinan, and this is and we spoke a couple of weeks ago, didn't we? You say, how can Palmer and Drinan? We say it doesn't work, and then Wazza did that little bit of research, didn't he? And he said, actually, the games we've won, those 2 have started. But is it a case of the workload not being shared? So when you got Glatz and Drinan, that forward workload is being shared. And that's why I think and for me, out of all of the games, Bromley is really the only one where I've gone, do you know what? They were just tactically better than us. Like the rest of it, I've gone, we weren't good enough on the day. That's the way I look at it. But Bromley just knew how to win the game. They did everything. They knew they knew. That's why they're top of the league. They know how to win games. And I just thought that, and that's why for me, the Palmer situation worked, because he played in that kind of central, hold the ball up in the 10 role. And then he had 2 players that were doing the work off him, so to speak. And I genuinely, I'd hold my hands up. If he played that role most of the season, not every game because it gets sussed out, I'd be more than happy with his performances. But when he's that kind of lone striker, it just doesn't work. And that's why I think that's why it always looked like him and Drinan don't work, because there's no sharing the workload. Palmer looks like he's running fast, but that's because the guy's 7'5", so every step looks like he's going looks like he's running really quick. So yeah, whilst I again, like you said, Fifey, I get it. We're not seeing the Drinan that we may have expected to see last year. We've got to bear in mind that he is probably, and I know this is no excuse because they're all professional footballers, but they are probably being told to manage what they do on the football pitch, pressing wise, because of this run of games. And things like that, and it happens so far. What Glatzel? How did he do his hamstring? One sprint down the left-hand side.
That, but Ian Holloway has gone on and on and on for the last however many weeks, particularly since the start of this year. The one thing we have to be careful of, the one thing we have to be mindful of, is we're managing the minutes, making sure we're rotating, making sure everyone's playing their part, making sure everyone's getting the chance to rest.
Which I don't agree with, by the way.
So on the one hand, you've got Ian Holloway saying he's managing the minutes and managing the workload. And then on the other hand, we're then saying, but the players are also, when they are on the pitch, they're not giving it all because they're managing that as well. So at what point are they doing it?
I just think we've decreased our, and I think this is the whole team. I think we've decreased our pressing game during this run. Not the bad run. I mean the run of fixtures. I genuinely think, and I'm not saying I agree or disagree with it. I just think that's what's happening, because my opinion on it is we should be playing our best 11 every week and just replace the personnel who are tiring, who are getting injured or whatever. But I don't know why, sports scientists take over the world now, and that's just what happens, unfortunately, in football now. But I just think we've taken our foot off the accelerator on our pressing game a little bit. And I think it's evident. And that may be not the only reason, but that may be why it's so obvious when Drynen's not doing what we expect Drynen to do.
Okay. Rich, you've put in the chat that you want to be let out your cage, forgetting that you can just join in whenever you feel ready. So what do you want to say?
Well, it's been so long since I've been on here, apparently, Fifey, I've forgotten what the rules are. So,
you can prove that by your opening 10 minutes.
Do you know what? I was really interested just to listen to you and Woody just go absolutely at it. It was like throwing it back to the old days and watching you and Ben go at it.
Well, don't worry, me and Ben is to come later.
Oh, I know. Oh, I'm sure it is. Oh, I cannot wait for that. I've got a second portion of popcorn ready just for that as well. So, okay, I'll open up quickly, and I don't want this to sound hypocritical because of the stick that I've given Ripley. The problem with Ripley is that he's been given performance after performance. With Drynen, it's quite recent, and I'll be honest, it has been evident. And I'm a big Drynen fan as well, so for me to give him criticism is quite difficult. But he has what's the best way to say it? Probably I say wandered off in game. I say wandered off in games. He hasn't wandered off. There's been times where he's just been ineffective, and that's fine, and that's okay. But like Woody has said, he's had 4 goal contributions out the last 5 games, and I think with Drynen as well, he's starting to become that player where we need him most, like just to pop up. Because I think he came up, I think it was like the 90th minute in one of the games where he actually scored a goal. I think it may have been Gillingham actually. And but he did no, it was Salford. Sorry, it was Salford. And he did piss all game, the whole game, and he popped up and he got a second goal for us. And sometimes that's what we need. Sometimes we just need that stroke of luck just to win us a game, or actually just get us back into a game. I know we lost against Salford at home, but at the end of the day, though, it's quite frustrating because I want Drynen to be that impact player. And I don't want to sound like I'm agreeing with Woody here, but I've said it in the chat as well, that we've got a lot of games coming up, and if we are still in that EFL trophy, which by the sounds like it is that we are, I don't know, it's not very clear, but if we are, we've got even more games coming up. I mean, we've got Tuesday, Saturday, Wednesday, Saturday, Tuesday coming up in the whole of February, and we need to rest those minutes, and Drynen is an important part of that, of our squad. I always feel that we look better when we've got Drynen in our squad. I said it when we played against MK Dons. I knew we lost against MK Dons, but we actually still looked better. And then obviously we won the game 2 games after against Cheltenham and Gillingham, and now suddenly our form has dipped. Okay, as a whole squad. Okay, we're not just relying on one player here. We're not relying on one player to score us goals. We're not relying on one player to actually get us a result. Okay. We've got a talented squad of players, okay? We set out at the start of the season that we have got a talented squad, okay? That will all be able to give us contributions all around goals and getting us the results.
A promotion chasing squad. Remember the club said?
Promotion chasing squad, right? Okay. And the fact that we're talking about Drynen, okay, the sole reliant on scoring us goals, okay? And I know, and again, I'll go back to Ripley. Yeah, again, you've got to have a good defense in front of you in order to not concede goals. Unfortunately, a lot of his goals that he has conceded has been down to him. That's why I have given him the criticism. I don't mean to give him that criticism, and I don't like to give that much criticism, because I do feel like being a goalkeeper, it's a very isolated position and stuff like that, but that's not the only thing I'm criticizing him on. I'm criticizing on his distribution and all that kind of stuff. But back to Drennan, it's just one of those things for me that we can't, over a couple of games where he's wandered off, and potentially we're resting him for minutes and stuff like that. With a goalkeeper, you don't have to do that, but with a striker who's running up and pitch, up and down, just as much, he's probably clocking more kilometers than any other player on that pitch. And especially when he plays out on right wing. Okay, maybe not so much when he's playing down the middle, but if he's playing down on the wing, okay, he's going to clock as many more kilometers than any other player on that in the squad. So, and where he's quite a pivotal part for us as well, it's one thing that we've got to be. Again, Woody mentioned it about Glatzel. Okay, he made one sprint and he fucking tore his hamstring. We haven't got a backup.
Okay, so let's.
But that's my theory on it. Okay.
All right. Well, let's take a chat about the midfield, and I'm gonna lay the foundations for this.
Sorry, just to reply to that.
Rich, do you just want to show on your own?
Sorry. Well, it's like you're giving Drennan the Drennan show. Just pop that last comment back up just very quickly in terms of. Yeah,
read it out for the Spotify.
And I'm not saying that he's a dreadful goalkeeper. I'm not saying that, but the performances that he has had have been really poor, and he has been key to a lot of the mistakes that we have made. That's all I'm saying.
So onto the midfield then, and there's a couple of things that felt disjointed and upset me over the course of the 90-plus minute performance. I'll lay the foundation, and then I'll be completely honest, I need to take a halftime break. So I'll lay the foundation, and I'll leave it to Woody and Craig to carry it on, and then anyone else can jump in until I come back. My two main criticisms of the midfield, and we've been ineffective for a couple of games. That the fact our midfield has been ineffective, I think, has been a key component as to why our form has taken the dip overall. And that's not one individual's player. I know Nichols has had some criticism. I know Kilkenny's had some criticism, etc. However, my 2 points on the midfield. I know he's a Marmite player, and I typically try and stick up for him a little bit with my limited exposure to watching him live. But even I have to say, everyone's favourite Darren was playing in a completely different time zone to everybody else on Tuesday. It was unbelievable how far off the pace he seemed. It was outrageous. I've honestly not seen him play that poorly. But my main issue, and it links into the conversation we were just having, Woody, so I'm very interested in your thoughts on this. Ollie Clark was back. Ollie Clark, who's been missing. So there'll be an argument, I'm sure, that he's not match fit because he's missed these 7 games or whatever. Although he did play in the one in the middle as well, I point out. Goal aside, which was fantastic, Ollie Clark was anonymous. And I think Craig mentioned it earlier. Ollie Clark, who people kept telling me when I was saying I don't want him rushed back into the first team, everyone was saying he will make the difference for us. Ollie Clark was offering no physicality. Ollie Clark wasn't putting in tackles. Ollie Clark wasn't pressing in midfield either. Goal aside, and I know it's stupid to say it, goal aside, and again, fantastic goal. What did Ollie Clark offer that warranted him being in that team?
I'm going to deflect it to Nick because A, we haven't heard from Nick in a while, and also because the midfield's his baby. Nick loves talking about his midfield.
Well, you deflect to Nick for a minute, and I will be back in about 60 seconds.
Cheers for that, Woody. I don't know, we just don't seem to get to grips with... Fife made a good point, or who was it who said it? We don't seem to be able to grab the midfield and move us forward at pace. And whether that's how Holloway wants us to play, but you watch other teams and they either defenders bring it out at pace, move it through the midfield, and then you're straight on the edge of their penalty area. We don't do that, and yeah, in midfield, covering the defence again, that seems to have been lacking in the past few weeks, which is why the defence has been put under pressure. Now, whether defence is playing too deep, I mean, I'm not the greatest person tactically watching a football game, but whether defence is too deep, but there's too many gaps between defence, midfield, and attack, and if you've got those gaps, you just need a other team with a few skillful players to play around it, and you're in trouble. And I think that's what's happening now. I've been crying out that we have three in midfield for weeks, but if the three that we've got and are fairly static and not doing a great amount, then that doesn't give you a starting point. And I think that's how we've been for the last few games. So we haven't got the foot on the ball. We haven't looked to move forward enough, and we seem to want to knock it around the back. Then the wing backs will give it back to Ripley, and in either he pushes it out wide and it goes slow build up, or he goes long, and inevitably we lose it and it's back at us. So, I mean, for a man who's got 1,000 games behind him, which he keeps telling us, is he getting the tactics wrong, or is it because the players he's putting out there can't do what he wants them to do? I don't know the answer to that. So I'm not good enough tactically, and I'll hold my hands up to that. I see the game very, very black and white. I want a team to be press on the front foot, going forward. I mean, I watched a bit of Leeds Everton, and the way Leeds play, once they get moving forward, they've got players bombing into the penalty area and they overload the opposition defence. I can't ever see us. We haven't done that, and we're too slow and predictable, and that's how teams have sussed us out. Great at the start of the season, we were getting the results, and whether that was masking it, because obviously once you start getting some wins, you don't look at stuff so closely. But now, if teams have sussed us that they play a slow game, let's overload them. Let's get some ball players in midfield. We can play around them, and to me, that seems to be what's happening.
I think it's a combination of what you just said, Nick, but also you look at the intensity of how we played early on in the season. You can't do that all season, and that's maybe why we're managing minutes now. If you remember when under Flynn, it was similar, wasn't it? But that came to a halt a lot quicker because we didn't have as good a squad as what we have had this season. So whereas this season we've had a better squad, so we've been able to kick the can down the road a bit more. And now it's coming back to bite us in the ass. And it's going to ask the question, can you play that type of football all season in League Two? And it looks like even though the club's been, even though Holloway's been backed quite well when it comes to player recruitment, can you do that all season in League Two? And it looks like you can't. And it was like we were saying about Glatzel and players like that. I mean, it shouldn't be just because Glatzel's not up there pressing anymore. And I get what Woody's saying; he's right because he was sharing the load with Drinham, but that shouldn't be the reason why we're not doing as well and not pressing as often as what we used to. It's an issue, and also when it comes to us being more direct as well, because we are being more direct now, probably because we can't press as much. Is that the players not? Is that Holloway getting the tactics wrong? I think you said, Nick, or you weren't sure, or is it have the players got the faith in what Holloway is telling them to do on the pitch? Because this will be.
Craig, I think it's just that I think we've just lost our identity a little bit, just the way that we're playing. But I also agree with you in terms of the intensity that we're playing as well. It has dropped massively. But I think this has been an ongoing thing, not just the last few games, but even when we've just scraped wins against like Crawley, for example. I mean, that draw against Grimsby just near the turn of December, where we were 2-0 up and then we drew 2-2. But we've just dropped off every single game that we've played. And I don't quite know what it is. It's almost as if we can't start fast, then we just drop off. Or if it's sort of a level balance, then we'll either scrape a win or we'll end up losing the game. I'm not really too sure what it is, but it's just for us as a team, as a squad, but also it's also one of those things as well where Holloway was blowing smoke up Munro's ass for so long, and now that he's gone, actually, do you know what? We have seen a different results. I'm not saying he's the reason at all, not at all, but it's just quite ironic to see the fact that since we've lost Munro, our results have dipped. I have no idea what it is.
I'll tell you, on the back of that, Rich, what I find interesting, Swindon Town are the only one-man team who seem to be missing 5 men. I mean, first, we're really missing Ollie Clark. The team is not the same without Ollie Clark. Then we're missing Finley Monroe. We're not the same without Finley Monroe. Then we're missing Tafazorli. We're not the same without Tafazorli. Then we're missing. I forget who someone just mentioned.
Don't forget Butterworth.
Yeah, we're missing Butterworth. Imagine the options if Butterworth was available. And there was another player mentioned who I forget. And it's just like, how many one-man players are we missing? Because it's ridiculous.
Exactly.
And to use and I'll bring Ben in at this point because it's an interesting thing. You flip it the other way in a comment again that I made in the WhatsApp chat. We've spoken about Drinnan. We've spoken about Ripley. There'll be other players we talk about, but Tafazorli's come under criticism. Nichols has come under criticism. I do worry that we've got that many scapegoats that Ollie is running a farm, not a football club. It's ridiculous. On the subject, Ben, what do you make of this?
I just think, it started really. There was a lot. The 2 biggest dips we had in form have come after breaks, elongated breaks, thanks to games being called off. I think it was a mistake to drop players for the Luton game and then put them straight in for Salford, because those players who came straight back in for Salford hadn't played for 2-3 weeks and were pretty average. And that kind of also started the rot a little bit. I think Tafazorli had his worst game, the home game of the Salford game. I've never seen him play so badly. And I think after a break, they found it hard to gain momentum again. That was certainly a case the first time. I think we lost 4-0 to Accrington and then we spiraled for about 4 or 5 games and it took a long time to get that back. And they're kind of repeating that again. Against the first time we did it, I think we got away with it a little bit because we weren't playing the best teams. Now we are playing the best teams in the league and they're going to punish us more than the other teams did. I think there's been individual poor performances. I think there's been moments of clarity. First half of Bromley was fantastic, but then completely dropped off for no good reason. I think the goals we conceded have been at really dreadful times. 20 seconds into the second half against Bromley, and I don't think the team showed much aptitude to get their head around it or get their heads back or totally scrambled and got completely outrun against Notts County. Personally, I think for the first half, I think we limited Notts County to not many clear-cut chances. I think Jones smashed the bar and there was that brilliant save. The clear-cut chances, that was it. We held on, then we created our own chances and got one. And then we let a really soft goal in just before half-time and the whole mood changes in the half-time team talks where they're all of a sudden bang up for it. And they're straight at us in the second half and we're all over the place. We get to half-time, they go in and frustrated and we got a lift. So I think that's contributed. I think individual performances as well. As you say, Drinnan was anomalous. I think there was loads of individually bad things, but there was also, we're not a million miles away. We're just probably not as good as we think we are with losing the last 3 games that we've had. But that doesn't mean to say we can't get it back. To go a long way around.
No, that's fair. Okay, let's move it back again one stage, Craig. Let's talk about the defence. This is difficult on the back of the loss. I don't think the defence was terrible. I think they had moments where they were bad, but I don't think overall the 90 minutes they were terrible. I still think of the 3 centre-backs, if you like, Wilson Brown was arguably slightly better, but not much in it than the others. As I say, I quite enjoyed Will Wright having this random free role that centre-backs shouldn't really have.
Faulty.
Yeah, it's bizarre tactical choice, but I quite enjoyed it. I said to Waz, I quite enjoy this. I wish he could execute it slightly better. Ball did okay. My main complaints was tactically, it didn't seem right in the sense of, I mean, and I know it's been mentioned, Jatta is one of, if not the best striker in the league, but we just seem to be like, it's all right, mate, do what you like. You know, he had the freedom of not just Nottingham, but Nottingham shit on Tuesday night. But what a lot of us couldn't understand is Jody Jones is well known as a threat for them. And again, every time he got the ball in that first half, it was just like, he has 1 foot. You know where he's going. You know what he's going to do. And yes, he's good at it, but we just let him do it every single time. And it gets into that. I think it might have been Nick who mentioned earlier. We just don't seem to be learning these things as the game goes by. And we just let the same things happen over and over again. They're two most obvious threats, and we're letting them absolutely smash us to pieces.
Sorry, was you asking me that, Fifey? It's such a long time. I think, well, yeah, Jones was getting too much space down that left-hand side, but that might have been because of Wright's free role, to be honest. It just seemed like there was a bit of a gap between McGregor and the central defenders. So, but he wasn't just going on 1 foot. You know, he was causing all sorts of problems, and yeah, the defence. You know, I agree. Wilson Brown was the better out of the the three central defenders, I think. But yeah, Jota was, you know, I think, you know, Ball had a terrible game. He was poor. He was really poor, and he was involved. He played his part, contributing to the 2 goals we conceded. Right in this bizarre role he was playing, I think just keep him, get him to stick to what he's best at, whatever that is. No, I'm kidding. I'm joking. I'm joking. It's set pieces, isn't it? But yeah, you know, don't. Yeah, it's not something that Wright is suited to, is it? So just keep him in the back three, and but yeah. We just look. You know, it's a shame after, you know, the defense was so solid for those 8 or so games beforehand and everything. I just don't understand how. Although we did cover this a bit on Tuesday about Holloway tinkering with the defence and putting different lineups in and stuff like that. So that probably doesn't help. And that probably doesn't help Ripley, that he hasn't got a consistent defence, whether it's a back 3 or a back 4 and, you know, central pairing. So, yeah, is it Jatta? Is it? Oh, sorry. I thought I could have sworn the commentator was saying it was Jota on Tuesday, but yeah, we, you know, it's funny because I know we might cover what Holloway was saying, and Ben mentioned about the gap and everything. I don't buy that. I'm sorry. I think that's nonsense. They're professional footballers. It's you know, if and also Holloway was saying about the gap, but also that this is a what was he say? He said it's a very young group that we've got, and they look a tad inexperienced.
Team we've had.
So I'll just roll out the starting 11 and their ages. Right, Ripley 32, Wright 28, McGregor 19, Ball 30. Wilson Brown 21, Snowden 21, Clark 33, Kilkenny 25, Oldacre 27, Holman 21, Drinnan 27. I think that's quite a nice balance of ages, to be honest with you, and that's without the holy trinity Saga Tours 3 that we had on the bench in Nichols, Palmer, and Tafazoli. So I think, you know, it's just trying to come up with excuses and everything. We just haven't been good enough.
Well,
you know?
while I agree with you, Craig, I think what Holloway was trying to say was the the team that finishes the game, because every sub he brings on is a young player, because we haven't got the likes of Bodin there. I don't remember Taff being there, etc. So it's always just the young players coming on.
That's not what he was
That's
saying.
an excuse.
He said we've got a young group and they look a tad inexperienced out there. Maybe when he was saying that they look a tad inexperienced, maybe he was on about the youngsters when they came on, but still, this isn't the class of '93.
Who's not exactly
So I'm sorry. I think I don't, and I think it's. Don't get me wrong. I get it. When you're bloody new young players coming in, it's not easy for them to come in, like players like Holman and Olakibi, or however you say his name. I'm sorry,
Mo.
But yeah, it is difficult. But yeah, I think Holloway needs to have a look at himself as well with some of the decisions he's been making, and hopefully he will get it right tomorrow.
Okay, so we have done almost a full length of the show just on what happened at Notts County. Does anyone want to jump in with any other comments specifically from Tuesday's game? No? All right. Nick, we are finally, after covering what seems to have been a month's worth of away games, covering what seems like 7,000 miles, we're finally back at home tomorrow. Could that make the difference?
Well, it needs to. And we've been saying it for weeks. We've had some must-win games, which we haven't won. But just going further forward than that, I looked at the fixtures over the next 2 months. And listen, hang on. I'm not just on about us. We've got a fantastic opportunity to put a run together. Now, of the top 7, we only play one team in the top 7 in those 2 months, which is MK Dons. Bromley are in a great position. They only play one team of the top 7 in those 2 months, and that's Notts County. Walsall, MK Dons play 4 teams in the top 7. Cambridge, Salford play 3 teams in the top 7. They're all going to take points off of each other. And Notts County play 2. So there's lots of points that are going to be lost in that period. And we have got the opportunity to make a push to get back into that top 3. So I'm quite positive for what's going to happen over the next 2 months based on what we can do ourselves. And I know we only can worry about ourselves and not what other teams are doing. But with the basis that other teams are going to drop points against each other, that puts us the opportunity, I'm not saying the advantage, the opportunity to actually get back into that top 3. So that's my positive take of where we are this season. Now, if we balls it up over the next 2 months, we don't deserve it. Simple as that. And it's in our hands to do that. So if we're not in that top 3, but by the end of March, you can say we might scrape in the playoffs. And then it's hold your hands up and see what happens.
Yeah, 100%.
Okay, so I was going to go straight into specifically tomorrow, but as Nick's raised it, Ben, me and you have locked horns all week about this. You have been professing and confessing to anyone in the world that would listen that the run of games now on paper, I'll give you your due, on paper, looks easy. It is more, I won't use the word easier, that would be disrespectful, is more favourable than the games we've just had, which I'll grant you factually is accurate, because as Nick has just so well explained, we only played the one team in the top 7. However, all of those teams will also have their own agendas. They're not just going to roll over and say, Swindon have had a hard January, let's let them get back on track and have the points.
Absolutely.
I've told you in the next 9 games, I think we need a minimum 20 points to stay in the conversation. Nick, when I posted those pictures, Nick said he thinks we will get exactly 20 points. I've said I think we will get a maximum 15 from the next 27. So what is it about? What is it you can decompartmentalize from what has been an awful run of performances and results that makes you believe we can get this 20 plus points from the next 9 games? Is it just that you see these sides as inferior to what we've played, so it should be more likely?
No. I think when Swindon have got momentum behind them and they have got ability to create against teams who will come to the county ground and look to be stubborn and look to keep us out, I think we've got an ability to carve and create chances and get teams open. Something we've not had it in the last few years and struggled against these sort of teams. I think Swindon have been quite good at putting to bed teams that have been negative. And I think teams will come to the county ground with that kind of attitude. Barrow will come tomorrow with their away record and their form will take a point all day long. They will come down, they will be well organised, they'll be drilled, they'll each one know their jobs, and they'll be physical and they will put themselves about and they'll try and pitch up a game. They'll slow the game down at every given opportunity. We've all seen it and been there and done it. But what Swindon have been able to do is finally find a way of beating these teams. And Swindon, until recently, before the bad run started, went on a run of 8 wins in 10. So we can go on these sort of runs. We've had that. We've watched our team do this before. And up until the last 2 weeks, we've been quite successful and quite confident. It's been a massive shock and a reality check. It is a reality check the last 2 weeks.
I should use the term reality check.
Yeah, and Jack pointed this out on the phone the other day. He says, we're probably just not as good as we think we are. And it's probably true. We're probably not as good as we think we are. We probably thought that there was an excellent opportunity of us becoming champions this year, but then you look at what Salford are doing and their budget, the players that they're bringing in, the money that they've got. Notts County are quite a good team, and maybe there's not a right to win without doing the major hard work. We can do it, but we need to go back and stop doing stupid things at the back and stop letting these silly goals, which we thought we'd stop doing, because once Tapazzoli turned up, we sort of sealed up at the back and we didn't concede many goals at all. But we've started conceding the silly goals again. So we need to address that. That has to happen. But if we do that, then we will create enough and score. I think these next couple of signings coming in are important. We could chat about the transfer market in a bit. But, we're in for a striker and we know we're in for a left wing back. We do need that balance because we have missed out on the left. We're not going to get someone in as good as Monroe. It's not going to happen. But we have got other players in to fit in other places. I quite like the look of Fletcher Holman. So I think there is cause that we can still be confident. But as Nick said, if we don't start putting our foot down now, and if we don't beat Barrow, and then we go to Harrogate and we drop points again, then we really are in a spot of bother. It is, I hate the term must win because it never is unless it's a playoff or like it's towards the back end of the season because there's 19 games left. But psychologically, this is the biggest part of our season coming up because the next 5 we need to take, we need to, the next 15 points, we need to take at least 13, I think, to really put ourselves up about it again. And that's the challenge. And we're going to take one game at a time. They're all winnable, very winnable. And the bookies will probably have us favourites for each game, but there's no guarantee that we will take these, especially in this league, what we saw the other day, we saw Newport beat Chesterfield, didn't we? That was only the other day. And who had that on their accumulator? So, you can get upset with these games, but, it's now do or die. And let's hope that Swindon do kick on.
Woody, I think it was Mark that posted in January. Overall, now we are 15th or 16th in the form table, I believe it is. So what's the first and foremost fundamental thing Holloway needs to put right? Is it just simply a return to basics and get the boys playing again? And once they're playing, the confidence will lose and results will follow?
I mean, I don't tend to look at the form table for January too much because we didn't start playing until the second half of January. But I think for me, what I think Holloway will do is what he won't do, and that's I think he needs to literally play the strongest team. Don't worry about this minutes rotation thing. Play the strongest team against Barrow. It doesn't matter whether it's Barrow or Barrow or Bromley. You know, it doesn't. We should be just playing that strongest team because, for me, we have, as Craig and I have definitely said many times, we have a very good squad. We have a squad capable of promotion. But the problem is if you're in every squad, there still has to be weaker players. So if you're making way some of your better players for some of your weaker players, but you're automatically weakening your first 11. So I think that's what he needs to do. I don't think it is what he's going to do. But I think maybe, as somebody I think I think it might have been Pete Marsh put it in the text earlier, to say that we might have to try and get back to this intensity, especially when we're at home. Because if Barrow happened to just nick a goal, I'll tell you what, he complains about the fans when we were top of the league. You wait until you see the fans when we're 1-0
They
down
go
to
well up.
Barrow.
Yeah, they go well up. That's going to be a much.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
Woody, sorry to interrupt, but you say about, obviously he needs to play his strongest team. Do you think he actually knows what his strongest team is? Because I've been thinking about this for a while with him tinkering. Does he know his strongest midfield three? Does he know his strongest front three and everywhere else?
I think I kind of mentioned this on Monday, if I remember, if I feel stand me corrected. But I said I think the biggest problem at the moment, I say at the moment, he's done it all season and somehow got away with it. We seem to be adapting to the opposition too much. Rather than taking our game to the opposition, we seem to, or our pressing intensity, whatever you want to call it, counter-attacking football, we adapt too much to what they're going to do. We tinker with the defence too much. And don't get me wrong, I know we had a good run of form going into Christmas, but the performances, nearly everybody has said the performances started to decline like November time, really. And that's fun. If you look back at some of the lineups, that's when he started tinkering with sometimes 3 at the back, sometimes 4 at the back. And I think he just started adapting to the opposition too much. Now, I don't know if that's out of fear or necessity, in terms of whether he's coming up to try and adapt to playing against Bromley and things like that. And I just think that if you might be right, he might not know his best 11, or he might be that confident that he has a best 16. He doesn't have a best 11, so he feels he can afford to rotate. But I think he needs to work out. And this sounds stupid because this is a guy who's got 1,000 games under his belt, but he needs to work out.
This is where I feel as if that we're losing our identity a little bit, just as a group in general.
Yeah, and I just think he needs to work out what type of midfield he wants, because you either have, unfortunately, you either hard battle in midfield, or you have a creative midfielder with an anchor in it, or a wanker, as I like to call them. But or you have, you can have a bit of a blend, but you've got to be careful then because you are relying on having a good defence. And unfortunately, he's got a habit of leaving maybe our second best, because Wilson Brown is very good, but leaving our best defender seems to be, even when he's fit, he doesn't seem to play every game, in terms of Mabete. So it's just like, and obviously we know we got Knight Labelle to come back, which is obviously a positive. I don't know if he's back for tomorrow. I think it's
another week.
Yeah, next week.
Another week. But so yeah, it's but it may be just the way that I look at football. I mean, I don't have 1,000 games of professional football under my belt, but I don't have any games of professional football under my belt. But
I was going to say, you must be close in terms of the amount of games.
But it was always the way that I've approached, and Peter makes a point there about it. Cloughie's one of my heroes in terms of his philosophies, the way he did things. He never adapted to how an opposition play, and I think our squad is good enough to do that. But I almost feel that maybe Holloway's being a bit too cautious and not doing it.
I was going to say, Rich, on the back of that, I made the point, I think it was last week, and Notts County just added to it. We seem to have this block against the better teams in the league, if you say. I mean, our record against the current tops, we're 7th, aren't we? So our record against the current top 6 is truly awful. Like we can't beat about the bush there, and it's only getting worse. But is this, and if we are to subscribe to the same notion that Ben has been preaching for the last couple of days, that the next set of fixtures is favourable, we'll use the word favourable, is this our chance to kind of reverse that mentality again? And as what he says, let's go at them with our best team now, because we don't have to worry about all the strengths and abilities that Notts County and MK Dons and Salford have. Now we're playing teams who are challenging us for promotion.
I think after every loss, you should be going into the next game with that mentality. I don't feel as if that it should be after a string of losses or who you're up against next. I feel as if the thing is, we should be going in with that mentality against the top 7 just to knock them off. But now to say that, okay, well, we've had those losses against the top 7 now, we're going to just decide now, yeah, let's play our best 11, see what happens. And if we don't win that game, then, okay, it's not meant to be. But, you know, I think from our perspective, yes, we should be going in with that mentality, but we should be going in with that mentality in every single game. And yes, it should start from tomorrow. But also at the same time, though, what we've got to also think about as well, and I've mentioned it, I know Woody's mentioned it as well, is that we have got this string of games coming up where it's going to be very demanding, where we are going to have to change lineups, change squads. So we're not going to get that repetition. We're not going to get that same influence each game because leaders are going to not be playing, etc., and stuff like that. So it's quite a tough thing to sort of predict, which is why I said I know I said it in our WhatsApp group. We can't take a string of games. We can't say, okay, in 7 games we're going to be here. Okay, we can't do that. We have to take each game as it comes, and if we don't do that, we're not going to get anywhere in this league. And that's unfortunately that's a fact. But it's and the thing is with League 2, it's such a demanding league, and I don't think any of it. We've been in this league long enough now to realise that we can't, predict every single game, every single result that we're going to have, because upsets are going to happen. And, unfortunately now we have to rely on other teams above us because we didn't beat them to drop points. And that's not a position I like to be in. But unfortunately we're in that position now where we have to concentrate on our own game. And if the teams above us don't drop points, then unfortunately we made our own bed by dropping our own points. So it's the way it goes. That's the way the league goes. So take each game as it comes, and we'll see what happens.
Nick, it's a weird juggling act, isn't it? Because we're just as likely to be out of the playoffs as we are to be in the automatic promotion spots. The league remains that tight. Do you have any concerns going into tomorrow?
Only the normal concerns of we follow Swindon Town and we know what they can and can't do. I'm as confident as I can be that we'll get a result, because that's what we've got to do. The form's got to turn round. Whereas we haven't been that good in the past 3 or 4 games, we haven't actually been that bad. And as I've said earlier, it is fine margins. It is a very even league. Everyone says it's such a shit league, and maybe all the teams in it are pretty shit. But we just need to rise above that. So like Ben said, the only time it's a must win is if you're in the playoffs. But it's a very important result for us on Saturday. Get a win, and then we've then set it in motion that we can get a bit more confidence, And everybody talks about it. Whatever level of players are at, confidence is a massive element of the game. And it's not necessarily what you do with your feet, it's what's between your ears. And obviously we must be lacking a bit of confidence now because of the results. And now Holloway's got to earn his crust, and we've got to get that positivity back, and we've got to get the confidence up, and we've got to start believing what we can do. Jason asked the question earlier, how many teams in the top 7 or 6 do we play in April? We play 2. And I was just going through the fixtures then. And then April, May, you've got Bromley, Walsall, Salford, Bromley, Cambridge United, Notts, MK, Bromley. So again, there's another bunch of games.
Horrible end of the season.
Yeah, so there's teams that are going to take points off of each other. So again, we've got this massive opportunity, and it has got to start on Saturday. And I hope the fans get behind the team and we don't have any nonsense there. It's a pity the team aren't, or the backroom staff aren't as proactive in advertising it. This is a cheap game for you to attend because that wasn't publicised very well. And it's another issue with how the club is run, with all the other elements that are going on. So it is a critically important game.
It wasn't the likes of us, LSP and OSC. Most people wouldn't even know.
No, and I think there's still probably a lot of people that don't know because it's been abysmal. So it is, we're in a great opportunity now, and at the end of the day, you have to grab those opportunities. And if you don't, you can only blame yourselves. And I know I've highlighted what other teams are going to be, who are there going to be playing. But if we don't do the business on the pitch, it doesn't matter what they do. Simple as that. And this is a great, let's get beyond the team. I've said all season, I've tried to block out the crap that goes on in the background and just support the team. Let's get behind them. Let's get the 3 points and let's crack on from there. I think we can do it. We have got a good enough squad. We have got good enough players. And I think whoever it was made the point earlier, I think it was Woody, maybe Holloway, with all his experience, and he has discussed this in pressers and that he will look at what opposition we're playing and what team we will put out. He's playing his team to the opposition. Whereas and I agree 100% with Woody, put your best, what you think is your best 11 on the pitch and let them do the business. And then if it's not working, we've got 7 subs on the bench that he then has the ability to change it. But all this, I highlighted a couple of weeks ago, we haven't had a static defence. And a lot of that is because of injuries, and I accept that. But, I think there is too much tinkering. But, who are we to criticise a man of experience? But
lads, all we got to do is just go on a run like Cambridge has just done.
Easy, isn't it?
16 games unbeaten. Piece of piss, isn't it?
Yeah, easy.
If they can do it, why can't we do it?
Exactly.
We beat Cambridge.
I can't even remember now.
They are one of our 2 wins against current top 6.
Harry Smith scored. God, remember him? Oh, miss him.
Woody, the word that keeps coming up after each performance is changes. There's always this threat of changes, and we've just been talking about how much it tinkers. How far from what we saw on Tuesday do you expect tomorrow's team to be?
I think he might rest. Well, we haven't got Clark, have we? Is it
there's no Ollie Clark for a start. Please, God, let's not.
I'm guessing his latest ban takes effect.
Yeah,
we haven't even touched on that yet.
and for fuck's sake, please make sure we check the paperwork next time. He's allegedly available. The thing is, I can see players like Oldacre playing tomorrow. But I can also see Palmer in there, and I don't know, because Barrow are kind of more physical than anything else. I know this stereotypical to say that at Barrow, but they are this season. They are a bit more of a brute side. that we would stereotypically tip them to be. I do wonder whether we will see Palmer in that kind of role that he played against Bromley again, which if he does do that, then I think Oldacre is the one that gets sacrificed. And obviously it seems that it looked like a steady pattern happening that maybe Palmer's not going to be starting as many midweek games now, because apparently their old legs can't handle it. I'm pretty sure that was his words on the Tuesday or something along those lines. So obviously Joyner's not going to get dropped. Let's address that elephant in the room. I don't think he's getting dropped. Will he possibly play Fletcher Holman and give that another go with against a, dare I say it, against a weaker side than Bromley statistically? And then Nichols will have to play, won't he? I think if Clark's not there, so it'll be Nichols and Kilkenny. Which, if we can get the Nichols and Kilkenny from 2 months ago, I'll be happy. If we get the Nichols and Kilkenny from 2 games ago, I won't be. But and then wing backs is still the big question, isn't it? Because as much as John McGregor's done really well, he's not a left wing back. Or left back or left wing back. And I think it was you earlier, Pfeiffer. You made a very good point. The problem is we've all of a sudden become a team that used to put balls in from the wide areas on either side, because I know a lot of it came from Munro, but let's be honest, Snowden's had a few decent assists this season as well on that right hand side. We've gone from doing that to only being able to do that on one side because the other side they have to cut in all the time.
Do you think Mo could play wing back?
Well, this was the other thing I was thinking of, because that's why it's taken me so long to think about the forward line, because I just wonder whether Mo will get a look in tomorrow. Because again, I do see more from him than what I saw of Princeville, genuinely. He did really well to set up Table's miss, really well on that move, to be fair to him.
We didn't really touch on Table's miss either.
No, we don't need to. And then
no, we don't.
It's gone on loan to Bath now. We don't need to.
Yeah. So, but yeah, I think the only thing he can't really change is obviously the defence at the moment, because Knight LaBelle not being back, and obviously Tafazoli will probably be in because who's the guy up front for Barrow? They lost. Is it Heath? They lost him.
Is it Fletcher?
Is it Fletcher, something like that? But they lost Heath, didn't they, for a knee injury?
Yeah,
yeah. Really good one. But yeah. So, but Taff will be back in. I wouldn't be surprised if, given the fact that Mabete's had pretty much a whole week to recover, I wouldn't be surprised to see a 3-5-2. To be totally honest, I wouldn't be surprised. I wouldn't say it's a bad decision if we had Wright, Taff, and Wilson, Brown, Mabete, and Tafazoli. To be totally honest, with maybe either Snowden or McGregor on right wing back, but we know it will be McGregor on left wing back and probably Snowden on right. But yeah, so
can't wait for Danny Rose to score tomorrow.
Yeah, I was going to say, just on your earlier question, they didn't play Tuesday. On Saturday, they had Danny Rose and Isaac Fletcher as their front.
Okay. Oh, yeah, Danny Rose likes a goal against us as well, doesn't he?
Yeah, I know. That's what I'm worried
about. But because you've got Snowden, who's a naturally attacking midfielder, who's been converted to a wing back, I can quite see Mo playing left wing back tomorrow because Snowden's done it, and he's an attacking midfielder.
Mo's not left footed, is he?
No, I think he can go on either. I think he's naturally a right footed. Because if you look at the Salford goals, he was on the left side, both his assists.
Yeah. But I guess the advantage we got is the fact that we've got the likes of Wilson Brown there, who, if push comes to shove, could play that kind of what we were trying to do with Blake Tracy a little bit and play.
Why is no one talking about Kirkman? Is he injured again?
I don't think Kirkman is coming through the same rut as the team myself. I don't think Kirkman's a terrible player. I just think he's a good player, but I don't think Holloway's a big fan, if I'm brutally honest.
Holloway said he sees him more of a centre back.
Yeah. So, but yeah, I think we might see these kind of new tactical roles like you saw with Wright on Tuesday that we might see Wilson Brown maybe playing a slightly wider of the three, if that makes sense, and maybe giving that little bit of extra support to that left-hand side so Mo can, can focus on moving forward. We did that a while ago. I can't remember who it was against, but I remember saying that our two centre-backs were really stretched, but somehow it worked because it meant that they had protection. Whoever was further forward had the protection. So yeah, who knows what he's got up his sleeve? I still admire, as much as I criticise our forward performances and stuff like that of recent, I still absolutely admire the fact that I have absolutely no idea what Holloway's going to do tomorrow, and I've admired that.
If we got no idea, they have got no idea. So
it'll go unchanged.
Well, on the back of 4 straight defeats, let's see how confident our guys really are. What's the phrase? Form is temporary, class is permanent. Ben, I'll let you kick things off with a prediction.
2-0 Swindon.
Okay. Woody?
I'm not there tomorrow, so I think it's going to be 3-0 Swindon.
Okay. Rich?
I think it's going to be 1-1.
Ooh, a meltdown for that. There will be a meltdown.
Nick?
And penalty, and Ripley to give away a penalty, Elliot.
Oh,
If you wrote that down in the chat.
I've had a bit of banter with my Oxford United season ticket holders that I used to work with today, and one of them said, "Oh, he's at the game tomorrow. Would I like him to get me something from the club shop?" And he said he'll pay a tenner's worth. So I said, "Well, that's a very kind offer for yourself." I said, "I'll tell you what, put a little bet on that Swindon will win with both teams to score. Oxford will win with both teams to score." And I looked at the odds and I put a bet on. I put 10 quid on it. And so my prediction is both teams to score, Swindon to win 3-1.
Lovely, okay. I was on the same thought process as Rich. When I asked the question, I was going to say 1-1. But given that Rich has done that, I want to be different. I'm taking everything all of you guys have said. I'm going to go with 0-0.
Don't
do that to me.
Can you imagine the meltdown? Half of Twitter will be like, "Oh my God, we didn't score a goal." The other half will be going, "Fuck me, Ripley kept another clean sheet. How was absolute legend?"
And then you'll have to fly.
Half the stadium will come back at 0-0.
Just a reminder again, if you haven't already done so, it is cheap tickets tomorrow. So get them while you can. Get down and support boys.
A new season ticket for me, unfortunately, Sean. I am down in Fareham.
Screenshot money.
Some headlines, just to briefly go through, as I think it was Ben briefly mentioned. It's not the most clear, but it looks like we might still be in the Virtue Trophy, whatever it's called now.
We'll wait till Monday.
It looks like it's a fine and another suspension for Clark. Again, he's only available for 50% of games this season.
Can I just say,
liability, that boy.
How likely has Clark got off? Likely Swindon got off for FA to actually usually
fucking start, Ben.
Only £1,000 when I was expecting like 20 or 30 and one game. We've still got the EFL one to come yet, and they might boot us, but they can't give Clark a longer suspension, and they can't fine him because we already had to fine up the FA. So we still might get booted, but
exactly. Don't
the Clark thing. That's not.
Jake Table has returned to Bath on loan.
Good decision, that. Very good decision.
Of the January window.
That's his level.
Come up. Striker incoming.
I have a feeling there was another headline, but I can't remember what it was. In news away from Swindon, but very loosely Swindon related, former club captain Nathan Thompson has been released by MK Dons. So expect the clamour on social media for a Thompson return.
Despite Matthew Walker, what's his name? Matthew Walker posting the eye emojis, picture of Nate Thompson, and all the sorts. Sam Morshead's quickly quelled that, going, "No, he's not coming. He's likely to retire." He's got his own business.
He was doing. I don't know what the title was. Like a football management director type course, wasn't he?
Yeah,
to get into like CEO type level qualifications. So that'd be interesting.
And not that I would encourage people not to switch off Fools Rush In, but Elliot has just tweeted the Fools account and Woody with a gif of Roy Hodgson and just quoted it as Woody after Drilling receives any criticism of Fools Rush In. And it's a very angry looking Roy Hodgson.
Yes, Woody, my hero.
There was some other news, Fifey. I only read through it very quickly about the academy setup and what they're doing with that, and it does on the face of it look very impressive with what they're trying to do and how they're going to set up and be in a better position with bringing in young players. So obviously time will tell. So I haven't read it in great detail. I did skim through it, but it does look a step in the right direction. So again, as much as we criticize the club, so we've got to give praise when they're doing what seems to be the right thing.
Absolutely, no, couldn't agree more, mate. Couldn't agree more. And while we're in the spirit of quelling transfer rumours, I think this is official. Someone correct me if I'm wrong, but the widely rumoured move that former Swindon striker Paul Mullin could be making a sensational return to the club is gone after it appears he may have actually joined Bradford.
He has.
Liam is delighted, by the way. He's a big fan of absolutely buzzing. Big fan of Paul Mullin. He told me he's going to get signing more in my life. Yeah, he loves because he's a big fan of Wrexham and what they're doing and what they're about. So big shout out to Liam. Who's buzzing.
Who's the other ex-Swindon player they're rumoured to have signed?
Jerry Yates. He's gone to Sheffield.
No. He comes through this find a player.
Jackson.
Samsung Winner Pro.
Oh, Jackson. They've signed him.
Yeah.
Yeah, they've signed him. They've done it.
Yeah. So he's a decent player because when he was at Ipswich, he was a decent player. So yeah, they're racking and stacking like Holloway does.
Well, I think Bradford are contained to be an ex-Swindon Crawley type team, like Crawley.
And they learned from last season when it comes to the running, what you really need is to be playing a minimum 6 up front.
Yeah.
Rack 'em and stack 'em.
All right, let's listen. We're already on 2 hours, but we do need to talk about what is going on in the women's side of the game. But before we play everyone's favourite jingle and find out which game our Oracle would suggest that you go to this weekend, there has been a huge announcement, a team that we've not really spoken about much this season, but that's because all things are about to change in Chippenham, Woody.
Yeah, so many would have seen, and there was a few BBC Radio Wiltshire stuff earlier as well. Obviously, Chippenham have finally, it's been ongoing for quite a while now, have finally announced that they're starting a women's team next year, but probably almost, if not more importantly, we are launching an education program very similar to the exact same as the boys set up at Chippenham already, or as some would probably refer it to if they were going to be comparing apples with pears, is kind of the C6 type program. So that's 16 to 19 age range, which is great for Wiltshire, because obviously from a girls' perspective, I know Bath have announced they're doing one, but from a Wiltshire perspective, it is really only C6 that offer that education program for girls. So the club have invested a lot. I've held countless meetings. It feels like countless meetings. It's probably actually only about 4, but behind the scenes. And then obviously as part of that, we are launching our women's team as well. So the idea is obviously, as you guys know, I'm part of the junior academy set up at Chippenham. and we have girls age groups from 10 to 16. And so we thought we need to find a way to complete that pathway. So the education program was always in the offing. And there's a couple of my players that are already signed up to the education pathway. And then we decided, or the club decided actually, and then spoke to me about it, to launch a women's team as well, to add to what seems to be a decent wealth of women's football now in the Wiltshire area. So, watch this space. We've had a few people applying to be coaches of both the education program and already expressions of interests as well for the actual women's roles, etc. Which Joe Sharples, who's known very locally in grassroots football and academy locally, has kind of left me to rein that a little bit for now. So watch that space. And then so keep an eye on our socials. I think I've retweeted loads of stuff. I think Fife, you might have done it on behalf of Fools as well. We're holding our trials for the Education Academy in February. Encourage people to apply, whether you're considering, even to a certain extent, C6 or further beyond. Just come and have a trial. Keep your options open. Let us present to you some information. And the boys program is very successful. There's no denying that. The boys, they've got a good program going there. They do, if you do happen to ever come across them on Twitter, they do go to some well-established teams and often come away with positive results. But likewise, they do produce some good players as well. So other than that, in terms of the women's side of it, we'll start advertising for players kind of probably around the middle of spring a little bit, but obviously we can't actively talk to players at the moment anyway because of the approach rules. Even though we're not an established team yet, we still can't talk to players. So does
this also stop Rich tapping you up for any promising young talent?
Well, I did wonder why Cara has suddenly shown an interest in coaching at Chippenham now, who obviously plays for Corsham, waiting for her to slip some names. But no, to be fair, and I know I actually was asked this very question actually about the likes of Corsham, the likes of Bassett, etc. And I said, to be honest with you, at the moment, those two clubs are at a higher level. So if the players that we've got at the under-16s are going on to play Tier 6 football instead of what looks like Tier 7 is what we're going to be in to start with, that's fair enough. That's for me, as a coach and as a developer, we've done our job. Obviously, what we would like to happen is eventually the academy. So a lot of the current girls that are playing for me will either potentially play for the women's team next year, or they'll do the education program and the women's team. There's just so many options, and I think that's what this announcement is all about, is just broadening the options. But obviously I am seeing it as a bit of a bragging right that we are the first club to offer this full pathway, because there isn't another club to do it in the Wiltshire area. Swindon C6 is a fantastic program. Rich knows about it. Fantastic program, but they're not affiliated to Swindon Town Women. So it's just, for us, it's a massive thing for Chippenham, and they are fully behind it in terms of the chairman is very chairman and owner, should I say, is very very behind the new addition.
That's huge news, and of course, as you said, I will do my best to be sharing as much of the information through our socials as we possibly can. Rich, should we let Woody have a bit of a breather on there, and you can start us off with what's happening this weekend? It is Cup weekend.
Yeah, League Cup this weekend. Sound
very excited at the prospect?
Well, I mean, what I'm about to say isn't going to sound very exciting, so don't come to our game. No, Bassett are home to.
It's all right. It's not my pick of the week, Rich. Don't worry.
That's all right. Mate, I'm doing your job for you, mate. No, I'm being brutally honest.
Wait, okay, hang on. If you're going to do a Woody impression, wait. We'll play the jingle and we'll just change it to Rich's pick of the week. Hang on. Woody's
Fantasy's football pick of the week. Bassett, Swindon, of Corsham to see. One big match, spotlight's clear. Your fixture focus starts right here. Woody's pick of the week.
My God. Jesus, what has happened to this?
I love it.
This is how you know that Rich hasn't been on enough. He doesn't know the intro tune, he doesn't know the outro tune, and he hates Rich's pick of the week.
Rich's pick of the week. Fair enough.
We'll do your own jingle, Rich. We'll have another jingle for you.
Mine would be Kit Wilson. If Fifey, if you know, you know.
Indeed, indeed.
Yeah. So Royal and Bassett are at home to Appledore in the League Cup, and yours truly, Corsham Town. Women are away to Brislington. It's not a very interesting tie for us. For Bassett, probably more so. They're against Appledore, who I think are third in the southern section of the of Division 1, Southwest Regional Division 1, I believe. They're third or fourth, I think.
Only won one game though.
They've only, yeah, that's right. Yeah, they have only won one game. It could be an interesting tie for them. But I do think they should see through that game, as should we really. So I think both ties should be fairly straightforward for both of us. But yeah.
Well, that's great to say that. We've all followed football enough to know that anything can happen, Rich.
Oh, anything can happen. 100% anything can happen.
Try and sell it for
I was just going to say, I just hope Brislington can form a full team this week. Apparently, they brought 13 to Bassett last week, and then they ended up with 11. Whereas when they played us, they came with 11 and they finished with 6. So that's why the ref had to call it off. So I don't know. Go out, support your local women's team this weekend on Sunday. Supposed to be really good weather, and again, it's League Cup, so why not? It should be good fun. There'll be plenty of goals, I'm sure.
Just before I pass over to Woody to discuss briefly Swindon Town women, Rich, during your self-imposed absence, we were discussing the entire division in our last episode and how tight it was, and then we happened to notice we were talking. I think it was Nick's mentioned Bromley's fixtures towards the end of the season. We were noting your fixtures in February. We've been building up towards the Bassett game, but you go from playing currently top of the table Bassett to then second place Mangotsfield the week after.
Yeah, we play Mangotsfield week after Bassett, but you got to remember we've taken points off Mangotsfield already this season, so. But it's going to be a tough game, no doubt. They're a very good side. We're in a little bit of a shaky bit of form currently at the moment ourselves. So for us on Sunday, it's more about getting back to where we need to be as a squad, as a team, and then following up that against Stockwood. We have had injuries. We have had players missing for whatever reasons. We've got players travelling from all sorts over the southwest. So it has been quite challenging from that perspective. The 6-week break, I don't think really helped us too much up until Brislington, but we're not really counting the home game against Brislington because we only played 60 odd minutes. And we were 8-0 up. The 6-week break sort of really, I think we found quite challenging. And then to go against a good side like Bitton, to lose 2-0 in really extreme conditions, and not really being able to have a proper warm up. to then a game that we shouldn't really have lost. I think it was points dropped against Cirencester, to be honest with you. So Brislington would be a good game for us to sort of hopefully get through, but also experiment with the big games that we've got coming up. Like you mentioned, Mangotsfield's a massive game. I think Bassett's probably one that we're really focused on even more so now. I think both games are huge 6-pointers for us, and hopefully if we can get results against both of them, will put us in a much better position than I say much better position, we're third, so we can't really be too critical of ourselves, considering we went the whole of 2025, end of 2025 unbeaten. But yeah, no, it's an exciting league, and we're looking forward to getting back to league action next week. But this week, it's cup action, and we'd love to progress in the cup.
Woody, Rich said there that he doesn't feel like the break did cause many favours. Another team that the break didn't seem to do any favours for was Swindon. They came back and had two very difficult fixtures. They obviously, as we spoke about previously, lost both their fixtures. However, they had midweek action this week and finally returned to winning ways at the third time of asking.
Yeah, and obviously Annie Colston got herself back on the score sheet after, I'm assuming, was some sort of injury for missing the Bournemouth game completely, or whether it was squad rotation. But no, I mean, first of all, probably fair play to Bridgewater. I know there was a change of venue quite late on in the day as well because of this horrible blinking rain that we seem to be having down in the West Country at the moment. But yeah, no, I think from what I hear, quite a solid performance. I think Libby Davis was on the score sheet off the bench again, and Lacey Liggett just seems to be a little bit of a goal scorer midfielder at the moment, which is probably not something I would have associated her to right at the beginning of the season when Swindon signed her. So, but yeah, no, a good win actually. I think for Swindon, it's always good to get 3 goals away from home and also keep a clean sheet. But Bridgewater, they're no mugs this season. They were 4th, I think, before kickoff. So it's just opening up that gap a little bit, which gives Swindon quite a big opportunity on Sunday. And as much as I very much make an honourable mention to Rich's go down and watch local football. Unfortunately, I am of the same mantra as him that I don't think those 2 games are going to be the most attractive games of football. So my pick of the week is actually the Swindon game, even though it would require a journey to Maidenhead to play it. But yeah, Maidenhead are mid-table, 6th. They're probably what I call the divide actually at the moment, because Abingdon have picked up a bit of a form at the moment. So Abingdon are on that 20-point mark in 5th, whereas Maidenhead are on 16 in 6th. So there is that kind of split starting to happen now between top half and second half. So, but yeah, it's yes, and most importantly, I think what Swindon will be looking for. Swindon obviously won every game in the league. We forget that we're in February on Sunday, and they've won every game in the league. So, but the problem is that's a little bit of a misleading stat because they didn't play a league game in January, so apart from Bridgewater. So, but probably the biggest thing about Sunday, because Moneyfields are in cup action against Gwalia. Swindon could retain regain top spot with a win, which I think will be very good for the confidence for Ridgewood's side, especially as they go away to Ascot, who are one of those very frustrating teams the following week. Ascot, so yeah. Best of luck to Ridgewood's side. A break might. We say the break didn't do them favours, but they did come back and play probably the 2 worst games you could possibly play. Undefeated team in the 2nd tier and an undefeated team in the 3rd tier is probably the last thing you want to be playing after a break. But now they're coming back into the bread and butter of the league. They can focus on that again, and really start this build up and this kind of battle I think Rich might agree. Probably it's probably going to be Moneyfields or Swindon now for that top spot. I think Swindon have got the slight edge at the moment because of that, obviously on their run that they're on. But I can't remember when Moneyfields play Swindon. I think it is actually towards the end of the season. So yeah, gearing up for that.
Well, of course, as always, we wish not only Swindon Town men, but Swindon Town women, Corsham and Bassett, the very best of luck this coming weekend. We will, of course, bring you up to date with all of the action on our show on Monday. Gentlemen, thank you very much for your time this evening. We have gone well into not just injury time, but extra time. But we always knew that was going to be the case with so much to digest and dissect, and obviously games to review and preview. If you are going to the game tomorrow, as I imagine most people watching stroke listening to this are, enjoy it, be loud, be proud. Let's hope we can end this. I'm going to keep using the word run just for the moment. Let's hope we can end this run before it really does become a rut. And let's get back to being able to have more positive conversation. So all that's left to say is whatever you're up to this weekend, have a fantastic weekend. And from everyone at FRI, come on, you Reds. We will see you again on Monday where we do it all again. Good night.
Fools rushing! Yeah, we're back again, like mates down the pub. Heart on sleeve, never tame. Yeah, from the chanting in the stands to the tackles flying in. Home and away, red blood, white shirt, where the fools rush in. Passion, debates, laughs, rants, late nights, Woody, Ben, Nick, Rich, Walter, Kieran, side by side, Craig and Ned, Joe and Mark, Art, Gary in the dark, and now we got Barry in. Yeah, the gang's all in. Fools rushing like we're chasing one moment. We'll make you laugh, make you cry, feel happy, feel angry inside. Fools rushing like a last minute swing, just like back in Swindon Town. We go up, we fall down. From the goals that lift the roof, cue the groans when it goes wide. We argue, we agree, but you're all here on the right. Fight by jumping in the chat, every story, every stat. Thank you for watching, for listening, commenting back. Save our tires on the board, and us recruitment in our corner. This is our club, our crowd, turn it up a little louder. Fools rushing like we're chasing one more.